reinventing the tattoo community, where tattoo artists, apprentices, and collectors are joining live events, sharing their tattoos and art, as well as creating art together across the globe. If you haven't already, you can find the mobile app on the Apple App Store and Google Play. Today, we are lucky enough to have Brandon Bean of Dark Skin Body Art here with us. Aitchison and Brandon will be talking art history, diving into modern Black artists, as well as traditional African art. Very exciting. If you can check out the Reinventing mobile app, you can also find a plethora of awesome events going on. Coming up this week alone, the Tattoo Collecting Podcast with Fawn Baker and Jordan Rookus will be doing their 25th episode. They interview epic collectors about their collections and their journeys, and it's always a fun time. Our regular Reinventing the Drawing groups are always on Sunday at 1 p.m. The time zones are all in Eastern, in case there's any confusion. Sunday at 1 p.m. with Jason Leeser, and Monday at 9 a.m. with Jake Meeks, where you can zoom in with artists to chat, give and receive feedback, and prepare for your upcoming pieces. Every Monday, Guy and the members who subscribe to the Reinventing curriculum get together at 9 p.m. to hone our art skills for the Monday exercises. It's been super wonderful to see everyone's growth in their skills and their confidence. And if you haven't checked these out yet or aren't subscribed, you can even get a couple free sample lessons at reinventingthetattoo.com. There are lots more, so make sure to check out the events page. And I want to say thank you to our sponsors as well, because they make it possible for us to do this for free. Inkjet Stencils, one of our sponsors, will actually be having a demo tomorrow at 12 p.m. where they will be going over techniques to make your stencils more effective, as well as how you can get your own free samples of their stencils before you decide to purchase their rad machines. Though if you do a lot of large scale work, they are now selling stencil printers that can print out literally an entire back piece. It's pretty epic. Our newest sponsor is Jesse Smith's shop, Loose Screw Tattoo. They are actually looking for a resident artist right now, and it's pretty incredible opportunity as they have all the supplies covered: health, dental, paid vacation, and a 401k option. It's pretty much the dream. And if you mention that you heard about it from us, then he will know that you're interested in learning and growing. All right, so I am going to disappear into the background now, and I'll be here to read off your comments and questions. And remember to subscribe to the YouTube and download the app.
Right on. Thank you, Sandy. And thanks everyone for tuning in. This is our third art history talk. First one with Travis Louie, and the second one with Gunnar. We're really great talks, and got to see some artists that maybe a lot of you as tattooers haven't been exposed to. And it's been, enlightening for me too, even though I've been to a lot of art museums and grew up reading art books. But one thing I definitely noticed in these first two interviews was in the mainstream art history texts and museums, it's come from a very European-centric standpoint. And here we are in Black History Month. And so I'm excited to have Brandon Bean here from Dark Skin Body Art, and love to hear about some influential and important Black artists, and a little bit more about African art history and whatever else that Brandon might have to share with us. Thanks for coming, Brandon.
Thanks for having me, guys. Great to be back on here.
And for anyone not familiar with Dark Skin Body Art, I've been following it for a few years, and it's really some fantastic art, and it really kind of, if you want to see how certain colors are going to work on certain skin tones, that's the place to do it. He also posts a lot of healed photos. Brandon himself is a very solid tattooer, and you've been tattooing how many years?
It's about 11 now, going on 11 years now.
Right on. You got a set of Procreate tools, all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, Brandon. I would love to hear a little bit about when you were young and you first were exposed to art, who it was that you connected with, and what you first, what made you an art fan?
Okay. Yeah, back ever since I was a kid. I was born in 78. So I grew up with parents who, of course, bought vinyl records at the time. So my parents were very big into like Stax, Motown, those type of guys. But my parents also were big into rock and funk. A lot of the album art from back then, from the old 70s albums, is still to this day, as far as I'm concerned, some of the best eye candy you'll see in your life. And I seen those growing up. I remember, you know, the Maggot Brain album from Parliament with the guy buried up to sand with the dirt, you know, and his head was just sticking out the ground. And then those album covers from Parliament, like of the Mothership, you know, and Sir Nose Devoid of Funk, like that stuff just really captured my eye. Earth, Wind, and Fire album covers, you know, and the symbols and everything that now that I'm older, I really understand more so what I was looking at. But back then, that stuff really just looked cool to me, you know, like really, really, really cool to me. Ernie Barnes, or the Sugar Shack that Ernie Barnes did, you know, from the Good Times logo. I just always thought that stuff was cool, and those were the images that like were burned into my brain when I was like really young. As I got older, I remember actually looking at the Guns N' Roses album cover for Appetite of Destruction, and that Robert Williams pullout that was in there. You know, the monster came through and the chick had like the panties around her ankles and everything. You know, that was, I love that. Megadeth, and I think it's what Evil Ernie, the guy, is all those images, you know, were just stuck in my head. I thought that was cool and I wanted to do that. And that was pretty much what started it for me. You know, the comic strips and all that came like a little later, but you know, for them it was, for me it was the music and that album art.
Have you actually ever had a chance to do any album cover art?
I never have. It's on my bucket list. That's definitely one of the things that's on my bucket list.
Well, anyone listening who's looking for an album cover artist, check this guy's stuff out. Really dynamic. He's great with anatomy and characters. Yeah, right on. Yeah, I got to do album covers. That was my pre-tattooing career. I did about 40 of them.
Oh man, see, that's I want to do one so bad. Them and skateboards, like, you know, that was, you know, I want to do a deck so bad, you know, for somebody. Just
well, your style is perfect for it. Also, very, very impacting.
Yeah, that's where I based a lot of it from. You know, seeing those graphics and everything. You know, it was like that one shot. You know, it was just those pictures were just impactful. They were raw. You know, a lot of them were very crude. You know, I thought they were funny. It's just it just spoke to me. You know, that's what jumped out at me.
Do you remember specific artist names from some of this early album cover art?
Only one I know for sure was Ernie Barnes and his Sugar Shack. That's like the most famous ones. Other than that, like Bitches Brew, Miles Davis album cover is like one of my favorite album covers ever. I don't know who did the art. Michael Jackson's Dangerous album cover, actually. The collage, have you ever looked at that album and seen all the little hidden images and messages that's in there? It's like insane. I don't know how they did that back in the 80s. That guy was on something serious, you know, but yeah, there's the Sugar Shack right there by Ernie Barnes. You know, I don't know who,
you know, that does actually, you know, come straight from a very important period of early 20th century American art there. I definitely recognize that from art museums.
Yeah, like around the big deal when I can't remember the guy. The name slips me at the moment. Those guys around that era, right? Yeah, I love it. This was I thought
right. It just
so
sucks
cool.
you in. You know, it's something that you can get lost in every corner of it. And some of my favorite album cover art was sort of like that. You know, I was a metalhead when I was a teenager, and so, you know, like the Iron Maiden album covers always
Those
had.
covers were tough, man.
Right. You could get lost for hours in them. And so when I started painting album covers, that's what I wanted to do, is I figured for at least the first side of the record, I wanted people to get lost in the cover, because it was such an important experience for me as a music fan. Right.
That was, I'd buy your stuff. It's like a lot of times if I liked it enough, I'd actually buy it just for the art. You know, I geeked out over it that much.
Yeah,
you know, I would buy that stuff.
It was a different era. You know, you'd go to a record store, and it really was the job of the artist to reach out to people there, and you know, it was a shot in the dark for the musicians and for their record labels. Like, you know, we got to find somebody that's going to represent this.
Right.
And yeah, I definitely had, some covers sent back for changes. They're like, this is a little bit wrong, and this is too funny. You got to tone that down, and
Mm-hmm.
if as long as you're hiding stuff, here's some things to hide. They love that. I would, after a while, I would reach out to the bands and say, hey, you want to hide some secret? I guess these days they call it Easter eggs.
Yeah, see, I knew guys were doing that stuff on purpose. Like, I picked up more so up on the hidden stuff in the 90s. As I got older, in the 80s, so I was a little kid then, but in the 90s, I kind of was looking like, wait a minute, I was able to start picking it up. I always thought that was so dope how people will talk to you through the art, and hide little things there, that character and that. It's like it's a soul and stuff, like it really builds the whole thing up. It makes the whole thing an experience. Besides, if the album's actually good, it really makes the whole thing, like a real experience for me. Like that's, I don't know, maybe I just geek out like that, but I love that stuff.
So yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit about art history from the standpoint of a Black artist. Okay. I'd love to hear what you have to share. I'm not sure where to begin because you know way more than I do. So wanted to.
Well, so for me, I know a lot of my friends. Like I said, you're from Carbondale, right?
Well, we've been down here for about 25 years. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
so,
yeah,
I'm originally from Decatur, Illinois.
Okay. Yeah.
So. Yeah, I've been down there my whole life. A lot of people don't know. It was actually very like censored and oppressed down there, like image-wise, growing up. Of course, we didn't know it as kids, growing up. But you look on the TV, you would see like the kids doing things like, graffiti, for instance. Like we didn't get to see that unless it was on TV. Even to certain magazines. Where I grew up, a lot of us, we got lost in the Source magazine. Like we didn't get to see, Beach Street that everybody got to see, and where the guys were getting up and doing the graffiti and stuff. Like they would take those videos out of our video stores. So we would never get to see them. So we would get the Source magazine. And in the Source magazine, if you flip to the back of it, back in the day, they would have where everybody would do their graffiti panels like all over the world. And that was one of our ways of seeing it. But there was a cartoon that was always in the back by an artist named Andre Leroy Davis. And it was called The Last Word. And he would do funny little character drawings of the rappers and everything. And I mean, he was on point, like he never missed. He'd cartoon them and everything. But man, it was like, it'd be funny and the pictures would just be on point. He would make Slick Rick look like Underdog or something, or Run DMC would have their Adidas on and they would be standing on the globe. And he did it every issue, and we would flip to the back and that's what we would see. So in a sense, yeah, there you go. Like he never missed, like every issue of the Source, this was back there. So this is the stuff, that I grew up looking at. This was like my art. These were my artists. I didn't know a lot about, let's say, like John Michael Basquiat. Like I knew who he was from like the videos. I know he used to mess with Madonna, but I couldn't see that work. I didn't get to see any of that. This is what we were growing up looking at. Then we would have a Lowrider magazine. This is how I got introduced into like Mr. Cartoon, because he would airbrush the murals on the cars. So this is how a lot of us consumed our art, where I'm from in Central Illinois back in the day. We were, that's what we were looking at. Then the rap the rap albums. Mr. Cartoon, I didn't know, was the one doing the logos for Eazy-E and Snoop Dogg. I didn't know he did those until later. There's another guy, he does This Is It. he did the album cover for The Far Side, which is one of the dopest album covers also. It's like they're on this crazy roller coaster ride, you know, it's like they're going into a mouth, like, so all these urban, I guess they would call urban, and street images, this is how we were seeing them, you know, and ingesting them. You get a few rap videos where they would be illustrated and we would copy that. And we didn't have museums in Central Illinois. So like, at least not where I'm at. When they would have art shows, they would never show that type of work. And we actually grew a real heavy resentment towards like the fine arts. I remember at one point, if you did an awesome oil painting, I would legit walk by it. Cause like it didn't, at the time, you know, young kids, you know, it didn't resonate with us. That didn't move me. It didn't speak to me. That wasn't on the bottom of Javante Turner's skateboard deck. So that wasn't dope. You know, that's not on Ice Cube, you know, shirt, you know, so that wasn't it to me. That's just, and it was a very narrow-minded like view, but that's actually how we ended up shaping our style. And a lot of young Black kids, from me just talking to them like later on, they were kind of on the same thing. You know, you couldn't get to the galleries. You know, back then, I guess galleries were real expensive. Like even if they had them, I guess you had to be invited or it cost money to go see them. They were out of the way. So you resonated with what you've seen in your neighborhood, you know? So, you know, the graffiti, that was like it, you know, the murals, those are it. Those guys getting up, slapping, putting up the wheat paste things that like Shepard Fairey and those guys do, you know, or the band, you know, the bands that would come and, you know, used to play the little dive bars and everything. Like that was the stuff that I seen. That was like art to me. All that other stuff it was like whatever, you know, like I don't care about Caravaggio, you know, and like who gives a damn about that? You know, we just didn't care.
It's easy to see it as being part of an institution, and it's that institution that is like not giving you the time of day. You know what I mean? Right. So why should you care, right? Meanwhile, there's this art that's connecting with you on a visceral level. It's part of your lifestyle, and you know, especially as teenagers, you know, I think. I mean, I certainly couldn't have given a crap either. Even though I grew up in a house that had art books, there was a period in my teenage years where it was just all about the, you know, the bands I was into, and you know, and any art I was doing, because I had an airbrush and I was starting to do album covers. It all was in that range, and it just didn't occur to me that I could like broaden my perspective by going beyond just like Giger, you know, who I considered to be as great as Da Vinci, and you know, possibly still feel that way, you know, but I don't know, at what age, I guess, did you start to broaden out, want to see a little bit more of the art world?
When I joined the Navy, so that'd be 18 years old. The Navy, me going places and seeing, man, when did I go to my first museum? I want to say, I'm kind of embarrassed now. 20 years old, I went to my first museum. It was like 20 years old, maybe even 21. And
then that's when you were ready.
Museum. Yeah, and I seen it, was like, oh shit, I've been messing up. You know, it was because I really had that mentality hard, you know, and yeah, it was in my first deployment. So yeah, 21 years old. And I was in Spain. And I see my first real like statue that was like, looked like something that would have been in my social studies book. And yeah, it floored me. It caught me. Like I was just walking down the street and, you know, you turn a corner and the stuff is just there. And I looked at it, was like, whoa, like, wait a minute. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, wait, this is, like, yeah, then I noticed on the doorknobs and you look up, you know, you see like the way the buildings are designed, like that art is literally like everywhere. It's just all over the place over there. You know, like it's, you know, like, oh, hey, here's another carving, you know, some of a half-naked guy, you know, that's literally, you know, it was just so ill to me, like seeing it in person. And yeah, that was that's when I was like, okay, I need to start paying attention to this stuff. You know, and it took me to go, it took that for it to, to open my eye up to it. You know, because other than that, I wasn't paying any attention.
Yeah, well, it wasn't in front of you.
Yeah, it wasn't in front of me. Yeah, but when I seen it, I definitely recognized it. Like, oh, okay, you know, it's, yeah. Like, all right, tuning in now, you know, and yeah, ever since then, I've been opening up to it. Some of it, though, I ain't gonna lie. What, 42? I'm not gonna lie, guy. I'm still not sold on all that abstract stuff. I can't. I'm still not biting on all of it. Some of it's cool, but a lot of that I'm still, I don't know. I guess it just doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's kind of funny because I remember walking through the St. Louis Art Museum, and it's very much laid out chronologically, right? And you can kind of see starting way back in the Middle Ages, and they're really struggling to get the human figure right. And perspective is all wonky, and everyone looks like they've got the plague, you know, weird skinny limbs and bloated bellies and weird dead colors. And then you get into the Renaissance, and they start to really nail the figure and get the perspective right, and the sunlight is more realistic, and you know they're really getting to a point where it's almost a photograph, right? And you get sort of into the pre-Raphaelite period where it's getting very realistic, and they're just bringing in some subtle stylizations, and then the camera is invented, and all of a sudden painters have to figure out another way to be relevant than just capturing scenes. And so yeah, of course there still is a continuation of that, but then you get all this, you know, cubism and surrealism and some pretty awesome stuff. But then as you keep going, it starts to kind of settle down into, okay, here's a flat gray canvas, and here's some splatters, and you get even farther. And I remember the last room was like the most current it was like from that year. And it was these 2 or 3 like gigantic pieces of paper, which you can imagine this artist had laid them down on the floor of their studio and like rolled this melted wax onto it, and then like cigarette ashes and, you know, some beer tops and cum and whatever hair, and then some scrawled triangles and circles and stuff. And that was where all of art history had brought us to. It was like and I remember standing there with this kind of what feeling and seeing this family walk in. They just kind of looked around and walked right through it. It's like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, art history ended up taking mainstream art to a place where it is only for the insiders and the collectors and the investors and this big moneyed institutional thing. And meanwhile, it's actually visibly garbage, like almost to the point of being comical, right? And except for the fact that that's where all the serious money is. And meanwhile, the rest of us are, you know, I mean, we're getting by as artists, making the best art we can.
They'll like us in another 100 years or something like that, you know. Who's the guy who had the urinal? That he the urinal guy, you know, he just put a urinal out there. And
that guy could paint, though. That's Marcel Duchamp, and he was a good, you know, I mean, he was a cubist, and he did Nude Descending a Staircase, a very famous painting. And no, he was trying to make a point. And I think
what it reminded me of, you know, like he just put the urinal out there to be like, oh, well, this is art too, then.
Right. Yeah, and I get it. I think it's that somebody had to do it, right?
Right.
But then we need to go back to making art that's nice to look at, and you know, I guess people need to make weird points and stuff, and I'm glad that they can do it through art. And I'm not against it, because I think all art should be, you know, valid. But you know, when the great vaulted institutions that tell our culture what art is right now show only that, and there's just they have to leave that institution. They have to go to the you know, the lowbrow art galleries or the tattoo studios or the you know, places like that if they want to see anything that's visually incredible.
Right. I agree. I definitely agree. I think if you're not if you're not looking at trying to see the big picture or see what everybody's doing, I definitely think, yeah, you're missing the boat. I go to Norfolk State, and they're really, really interested in the tattooing thing. I even heard Old Dominion even was too, just for the fact that how they consider us multidisciplinary artists. And then most of us haven't even really been to school. We're learning probably more so from our homeboys. You learn from your mentor, like how to do this stuff. And we're coming in and we'll end up taking these classes and we already understand the color theory. We may not know the exact, verbiage and everything to say, but like we understand secondary and like the tertiary colors. We understand, a weak contrast and, and a harder contrast. Like we get that. We understand composition and flow, and we totally understand it, and we do it. And here we are. A lot of us are dropouts, or, we just have a high school education, and we're not considered, how my teacher put it, the educated people. But here we are with a skill set that is beyond, guys that, even have their masters in it. It's like these guys they're just doing it, but people they were ignoring us just because of we're tattooers. They weren't looking at the fact that, these guys are putting this art on skin, from black to to white to wherever, big, small, tall. They're doing it all. We're doing all these styles. And in the meantime, this kid might be putting a burner on a wall, or might be doing a little oil painting, for a lip study or something, like just to practice, but seems how we're not making a lot of money, they don't pay us no mind.
I mean, I'm definitely not somebody that needs to be convinced. I do believe that tattooers are among some of the most versatile, hardworking, eager to excel artists that I've seen out there. And I think part of it is because there is a certain, like, yeah, you can have a niche career doing deliberately crude tattooing or whatever, but mostly there's a certain extremely high level of technical perfection and visual, compositional, impact that's expected, right? And it's like this bar keeps getting raised. It's on a totally different trajectory from modern art, which is, I couldn't actually tell you what drives it, but it sometimes feels like a race to the bottom. When you finally, every gallery has nothing but a bucket of piss in the corner, and they've won. But all right, I'm going to stop ranting about that. I'd love to hear about some Black artists. I know we've got some names that you sent Sandy, and she's got some things ready to queue up.
Yes. All right. Well, the first one, of course, is I can't talk about Black artists and like tattooing, because for me, I got into tattooing late. I was damn near 30 by the time I got into tattooing. But I found out about these guys, and these are definitely some of the biggest. These are, as far as I'm concerned, the biggest that a lot of people should know if they don't know. And of course, is Jackie Gresham being the first one. And she's originally from Flint. She's a Midwestern chick, but she moved down to Louisiana. And she is, far as what we all know, to be the first first Black female tattooer. All right, and this is back in '76. When she came down to New Orleans, her shop, she still tattoos to this day. That's her shop. Yeah.
Yeah, I got
to meet her. I
did a guest spot in her shop one time. Oh, you've not met her? Yeah, I got to guest at the shop one time. She's incredible. She is incredible. She's a very, confident, bold, beautiful, graceful person. Yeah, I got to work in her shop for about a week one time. That's awesome. 28 years ago.
Yeah, that is awesome. But yeah, she's like, that's like Big Mama to us. You know, she's the one. She's like, just a lot of women I know have talked to her, and like they're inspired by her. You know, they're looking for, you know, that Black female artist. Well, like I said, she is definitely one. She is the icon.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's amazing to still be tattooing still, you know, after all this time. I mean, 76, that's what, 44 years ago? Yeah. Throwback picture right there.
I only just saw her just a few days ago, actually, and I thought, oh my God, she's like got to be one of the most epic humans I've seen. I just like fell in love right away.
Yeah.
Well, New Orleans is such an incredible and unique place, and you know, she really, you know, embodies what that place is like. You know, she's such an installation in the city there.
I think New Orleans is one of the most artistic, I don't want to say it, they're like when people think like artsy cities, for some reason they don't think of like New Orleans in that area. Man, that place it's some really creative artsy stuff going on down there. That place is heavy, you know. The more and more I read about it, like look at and see what came out of there and what's going on down there, is like, yeah, that place is, I think it should be a little higher in everybody's conversation for, like, you know, just art all across the board. Music, you know, visual arts. I mean, even, you know, for Mardi Gras, you know how the big chief wears all that stuff, and you know, they saw all that stuff by hand, and man, it's crazy. You know, I think it's supposed to be Mardi Gras this week, isn't it?
I thought it happened last week, but yeah, it is an incredible place, just in terms of, you know, most American cities, you don't feel that very old history under your feet the way you do there. It feels almost like a European city in that sense. Yeah. And, you know, of course, New York is, you know, clearly an old town, but it's been paved over so many times. You know what I mean? That, you know, it feels more modern than old and historic, although it's got a timelessness to it too. But yeah, right. New Orleans is definitely like this frozen in time, kind of like that. There's a sense of it that you can imagine pirates walking the streets.
Exactly, right? Barrels of rum. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. But my second artist that I also wanted to bring up was Zulu. I've never met Zulu either. But I remember Zulu from a Janet Jackson video, if I'm not mistaken, back in high school. I didn't know he was a tattoo artist then, but I remember having the hair and like the marks on his face. I was like, yo, who? You know, it just stuck out to me. Then when I got the tattoo, it was like, hey, I remember that guy. I think it's from a Janet Jackson video. But I guess Zulu's been tattooing a really, 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 really long time as well. But he learned under, was it Leo Zulueta?
Yeah, I believe he was his apprentice.
Yeah, and that tribal style of tattooing, I remember that being really, really big in the 90s. Yeah. That was, I'm sure you caught that time, right, Guy?
Oh yeah, well, this was all like the sort of little tattoo renaissance that happened in the 90s was on the heels of Ed Hardy's Tattoo Time books coming out, which I think really helped to fuel that and sort of, you know, spread these photos around in the hands of all these aspiring tattooers and show us what was possible. And so we saw Leo's stuff in there, and it's like, holy shit, this is so different, and it tattoos so well, right? And
yeah,
and it just caught on like wildfire, and then it became everybody's least favorite like bad walk-in tattoo, because someone would just want to come in and have a tribal armband that only went halfway around their arm, and you know, do 5 of those in a day. It's like, oh please, you know, I want to quit my job. But but then, you know, that evolved into what, you know, we have black work today, which is just such a vast, you know, spectrum that includes that, and so, you know, it ends up having this very particular look this that you might associate with the 90s tribal. And yeah, I can see he sort of adapted that and taken it in his own direction. That's got a little bit of a, almost a Victorian element to it, but really reduced.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that Leo does with his designs, I've collaborated with him a bit in the past, and he really is very limited in the scale of shapes he'll use. He won't use like some large shapes and then some other much smaller shapes. He likes to like settle on a scale for that design, and it creates a very graphic, bold clarity.
So it's a science too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zulu's also a crazy accomplished painter too. I see he's spoken at a bunch of universities and everything, but his painting's marvelous. Really good oil painter. I was not to be surprised by it, but I was like, man, this guy he's definitely about that art life. I found out, I guess he went to art school before he even started tattooing. So
I was trying to find some better links for it. It's, I think Zulu also links to a lot of other stuff. So.
Yeah,
definitely will.
Yeah, the thing about having an art degree, once upon a time, that wouldn't necessarily help you get a job in a tattoo shop.
Yeah, I definitely have heard the terms. I remember when I first got into tattooing, I remember hearing the terms that they called those gentlemen that had
right, yeah.
I won't say it, but we all know what it was.
Yeah, and of course, a lot of that was, you're not necessarily going to make a better tattoo as a result of having gone through art school. However, that's kind of changed now, because now people are going to art school with the intention of learning as much as they can and becoming a tattoo artist, right?
Right.
So it's a much different approach to learning, when you have a goal in mind.
Yeah. Like I said, with me being in school, I will definitely say it actually has helped. I'm not going to say I was able to take the information that I was learning, like with color theory. It really helped out a lot. I picked up some stuff from the guys, of course, like Tanae Whitfield, Andy Chambers. They've told me some Gabe Cece. They've told me some things. Even my own mentor, of course, has explained some things to me. But when I went to school, I was able to actually practice it, and not on a human body. Like, have that teacher over there telling me, what I'm saying, like understanding how to like just desaturating colors. Like to hear somebody say, hey, dip that color in the contrasting color when you're tattooing. That way you can ease up all some of the black or make a natural shadow. I wasn't really getting that till I went to school, and my professor made me paint the color wheel like 40,000 times and having to get the damn gradient. It was like, but after a while it clicked. It was the repetition and me seeing a thing. I realized, I'm one of those type of guys, and it made sense. So it has helped me. I can't say that much. It definitely has helped. I'll never tell anybody like I used to before that going to art school is a waste of time. I used to tell people that, but I know back then, I was anti like art establishment.
Yeah, well, I think it's different when you're going there with a goal in mind. Hey, your camera's slipping. We can't see any of your beard at all. There we go. Yeah, it's a different thing now. I mean, that our degree is not going to be held against you if you're getting an apprenticeship, but back then it was a different story for sure.
Yeah, I read some of the stories online on some of them forums back in the day. It was like, sheesh, okay. But yeah, those days they're definitely coming down now. They're starting to be in the rear view.
Yeah, it's mostly a good thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you started going to art museums, did you notice mostly white artists, but you did I'm sure find a few Black ones where there's some names that stood out to you that
I noticed mostly all white artists, all white males too. I was one of the ones who caught on. I was like were women not allowed to draw or something back then? Like I didn't see any female artists. I don't think till I went to the Chrysler Museum out here in Norfolk, Virginia, like a few years ago. Like no women. It was plenty of naked women around though, you know, painted, you know, sculpted. There was plenty of women figures and bodies, but it wasn't any women artists, you know, and no black artists. If it wasn't an Asian specific exhibit, I didn't see anybody pretty much but like, you know, European like artists. It had to be a specific exhibit for me to see something different. Yeah. You know.
What a message that sends you too, right? It's like I
didn't realize it till like later, kind of like, damn, man, like I don't know, like there's nobody else doing this.
So outside of the art museums, were there some, you know, meanwhile in the shadows, some important Black artists that were, you know, creating, you know, their own genres, their own looks? You know, have any names you could share with us?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I don't know how you are. A lot of these guys, like I caught on to, who I was going to talk about next. His style instantly grabbed me. I wasn't into, like I said, I wasn't into the whole abstract, like contemporary art thing. But when I seen Maya's work, like the way he pulled that off, it was almost like, I don't know, that was like graffiti abstract art to me. Like it was the whole flow and style of his work was just like crazy. It reminded me of Ernie Barnes's work from like Good Times, but like it looked like something somebody would put up on a wall, you know, like New York City somewhere, or, you know, like it just, that's what it reminded me of. His work was by far the most stylized work like that I had seen, you know, and yeah, and like it had been a while since I'd seen something that really just, see what I'm saying? Like this stuff was it was fucking me up. I'm sorry. It was this snatched me up like fat instantly, like instant look. And I couldn't, like, not that you try to duplicate it, but like you can't even duplicate that. Like that's his. Like you just know it when you see it, you know. And he's definitely one. Like that's, like I said, his style is just unique, hella unique, you know, instantly eye catching. And yeah, he's definitely was the guy. Then I found his partner Tukey Carter, and he's the same way, but it was different. Like you could tell they were homeboys. You could tell these guys like worked together. And Tukey is just, but it was different, you know. And like I said, I loved them. You know, these guys, and I wasn't a fan. This is what made me start looking more into abstract, like art and contemporary art. It was this stuff. Because I had never seen it done like that before. You know, I've seen the Picassos, who I wasn't really a big fan of, which is funny because that's Maya's favorite artist.
Well, interestingly, Picasso was actually very influenced by traditional African masks and statues.
Exactly.
And exactly. I mean, there's a huge imprint that made on many of like the faces and portraits that he did were all you know, very influenced by that. And doesn't Maya run a gallery? Or I mean, I see him posting all
Peter Street Station.
Yeah,
Peter Street Station's a free gallery. I think it's free if I'm not mistaken. Like you can just go in there and like draw. Sometimes he has like live bands playing music there and stuff. I've been to it when he was still getting it together. I haven't been there since it's like been like open. And but it's great. Yeah, Maya's really doing doing a lot of big things. He has a artist actually that came out of his camp that I really like. Speaking of styles, and his name's actually Paper Frank, and he has a very it's a street style, but like it's different too. You know, I really like styles. You know, styles are, you know, like how you got the organic thing, like the bioorganic thing. Is like, I know your work when I see it. Even when somebody copies it, I'll think like, I think that's guys, you know, and I look at them like, no, that's not. That's just somebody doing it. But like, you're the first person I think of, you know, because I had never seen that before until I seen your work. You know, I'd seen the other Alex, what is his name? Alex Gray. I know he does a lot of like, yeah, but I know his work, but your work doesn't look like his work. You know, it's because of your style. And I just read them like signatures. Like, this is Paper Frank, you know, and you know, he does a lot of stuff with markers. He'll use paint and stuff like that as well. But the flowers, you know, like his style this was Maya's apprentice.
You know? Yeah, this is incredible.
Yeah, and, you know, but his style is very, I'm just big on style. And if it's dope, you know, it's dope. And these guys, like, they push that, you know, just a style of work that's just, I relate to that. And it goes back to the street thing, you know, me growing up, I guess that's what it is. You know, it resonates with me with that as well. But I really like these guys' work. Like, that's like awesome to me, you know.
Do you follow an artist who goes by, I think it's Hobo New Ink? I don't know this person's name. Who is this? They are absolutely incredible. Hobo _ New.
Yeah. Yeah. He is he's just dope. He's a tattooer. He runs the shop. It's called Atlanta Ink. Down there. But yeah, he's a phenomenal painter. Funny thing is, you know, he was on Ink Masters and they booted him. He didn't even make, like, when they were doing their broad cuts or whatever, they didn't even pick them. They sent them packing. And I was kind of like, wow, like, damn, guys, you know, you really just clipped, you know, a hell of an artist for, I don't know, I can't remember what challenge it was. I'm not a big Ink Master fan like that, but I do remember him being on there. Yeah, they clipped this guy. You know, so the people who watch Ink Master, they missed out on a hell of an artist because, I don't know, you know, ratings or something. I couldn't tell you. But yeah, this dude is, Atlanta is a hotbed for, like, you know, really creative Black artists. There's really creative stuff going down there, period. But a lot of Black artists, man, are, you know, they're coming with the ruckus.
You know, interestingly, it seems to be happening more in the South. You think that's true?
Yes, I definitely believe that's true. I don't know why, but I definitely believe it's true.
I wouldn't even begin to guess why either.
Yeah, I couldn't, yeah, but
movements happen where they happen, you know?
Yeah, that's the best thing about them. Yeah, you know, it's just like all of a sudden, you know, it's a, you know, things just start popping. But yeah, Hobo Ink is dude is he's crazy.
How about outside of tattooing? Any names you'd love to share with us?
Outside of tattooing, let me think.
Are you familiar with Alfonso Dunn?
The name sounds familiar. I might know his work if I recognize it.
Well, I love this guy's post because, you know, he's an educator, and you know, he's one of those people that every post has something really interesting. And sometimes first it shows the drawing, and then you swipe, and then he'll have reduced it down to like a few different block versions with arrows for light sources and stuff, and just incredible stuff. Let's see, Sandy's finding it. Usually he does pen and ink. Wow, in fact, I've never seen him do a watercolor before. But well, yeah, okay. It's the Instagram account is, you know how some artists, because I've seen him do a lot of animal art too, but not on his Instagram page.
Right.
it's funny, you know how some artists try to keep their Instagram pages like super consistent. His are all these like anatomy studies, an eye, hand, foot, and it's all cross hatching, and it's just incredible.
Okay. I'm a fan of that style of work. So,
and I just, I like any artist that can explain the inside mechanics of what they're doing. And he'll go into several paragraphs just about cast shadows. Yeah, there we go. Click any of those, and then you swipe, and you gotta.
I'm about to get
sometimes get some video.
I'm about to follow. Yeah.
And I think he's actually a bit younger than I am. So, he's look at that. See?
Yeah. Okay.
I love that stuff. And, in some ways it reminds me of this artist, Bern Hogarth. I don't know if you've ever seen the Bern Hogarth Dynamic Handbook.
Dynamic Wrinkles and Shadows.
Yeah. I don't know if Dunn is inspired by Hogarth or not, but his explanations kind of remind me of Bern Hogarth a bit. Who is such a heavyweight, any tattoo that hasn't seen Bern Hogarth's books and wants to, make their work more dynamic, he's all about it.
Yeah.
The dynamic light and shading, that's a good one if you're wanting to, make your shading more effective, so it's more concentrated. And so when you look at the piece from the distance, there's a really strong dark and light rhythm,
Right.
Or some work when you see it from a distance, the shading is all kind of too even throughout the piece.
Yeah, too
it's
smooth.
a lot.
Yeah, it's right. Are you a fan of Kahinde Wiley?
Who's that?
Kahinde Wiley?
I have not heard the name.
Oh man, yeah, he's the dude. Matter of fact, he's the guy who did the painting for Obama. He takes like old paintings and he'll put black people in them, and they'll be in like regular up-to-date clothes and stuff instead. He's always sneaking like little sperm like in his paintings and stuff. Like he's a phenomenal painter. I do like him. Kahinde Wiley is dope. I'm trying to think of the young lady that did Michelle Obama's paintings. She's really good too. She has a bit of a different style.
Yeah, I remember looking at her profile right after Michelle Obama's paintings were sort of revealed, and I don't remember the name either. But okay, is this Wiley?
Yeah, this is Kahinde Wiley. Yeah.
Navigation.
You assume it's going to take you to a bigger picture. Oh, okay, view images. Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I have seen this artist. Absolutely. This is just such recognizable. These are huge, right? They're like
he does big, big old ginormous paintings.
I'm always jealous of artists that can do that because, if I do giant paintings, just eventually I've got a closet full of giant paintings,
Yeah. I haven't attempted one anywhere near. I haven't attempted a painting over 4 feet yet, so I'm still in the little fella stage.
Anything bigger than a back piece is like, I don't know, I think it's hard to not let it be months of work.
Right. Yeah, this dude is this is the guy.
Yeah, and you can see, he's got like that. I don't know what his training is, but you can see Caravaggio in there. You can see the classic, the Renaissance influence, and then he's taken that in his own direction. And it's always beautiful when people have a skill set that is so bulletproof that anything they do is just incredible.
Yeah. This is, man, This is stuff that pumps me though, and inspires me. This is definitely it. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Do you have any favorite graffiti artists?
It's Mode 2 is one of them, but I don't think he really posts a whole lot. One of my other favorites is my homeboy, but he's real sketch on saying his name, so I won't say his name. Another one of my homeboys I can say actually is even though he's not black, he's Puerto Rican and Jewish, is actually Dave Tevenel is one of my guys. It's so many of them, man. When I can't think of these guys, I'm drawing a blank. I can't believe that. But yeah, Mode 2, not Cope. Cope's in trouble, so we don't need to talk about Cope. So
what a scene, right? It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
You want to be able to show the art, and
some of the guys' names I want to say, but they're not with that, so I don't say their names. But graffiti's weird like that, man. But I guess if you get hit with all them expensive ass fines, you wouldn't want nobody screaming your name out either.
Yeah. No, that's crazy.
Yeah, Dave is nuts.
Yeah, you can see, the comic and the skateboard influence in there. And of course, tattoo influence. I love how it's just all kind of become this, these are all scenes where we're looking for maximal impact, right? We're trying to punch the viewer, and really affect them, and they're not necessarily going to have a chance to stop and sit down and gaze into the misty depths,
Right.
They might be driving by at 70 miles an hour, or, the tattoo, it might be from across the street. And, it's always impressive to me when something has that much impact. Not that that's the only kind of art that I like either. I love gazing into the misty depths too.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was something, like I said, I had to learn from over time, learning to like the other stuff. Like, it's okay. I know as young Black kids, it's good. It sounds weird, but we're not supposed to like certain shit. Like, that's really a thing. As crazy as it sounds, it's like, nah, they'll say either that's white people shit, or they'll say that's weirdo, or that's soft, so certain things, for all of the Black kids, if you're out here listening, like whatever you like, okay? Because trust me, you're going to get older, and then you're going to be like, man, you know what? I was being dumb, or I was young, I didn't know no better. Like whatever you like, because if you love it, it's going to come out in the wash anyway. And whatever you do, some type of way, it's going to find its way in there. So, dude, just embrace it and just like it, because for guy I was going to talk about was like Kurt Boutain. Kurt Boutain was he's actually the guy who started dark skin body art, and then he gave it to me after a while. He was in Kurt might feel a way about this. He was in like an emo scream band.
Oh.
I think it was supposed to be like a rap band. I don't know. It was kind of like pre-Linkin Park, Papa Roach sounding. I don't know, man. It was, it was different. It was very different. Kurt was different. Kurt had, I think he had red plaits in it, dyed red plaits in his head with beads and knockers in them. It was, but you don't get to that without saying F it and being comfortable in your own skin and what you like. Kurt, he does an abstract style of art and tattooing as well. Like, it's different. But if I was a kid, I'd be like, oh man, I don't know, that I don't know if that's street enough. That might not be. It's like, nah, if it's dope, it's dope. If you like it, you like it. You know what I'm saying? And Kurt is like a testament of that. That's, really good guy, is always trying to help people. But yeah, Kirk is definitely, you don't get like Kirk without being comfortable, like I'm saying, in your own skin and liking the stuff that you don't think you're supposed to like because you are, quote unquote, you are Black. It's like, nah, like whatever. You like whatever you like. It's only going to help you grow as a person, and you'll appreciate the art more because there's so much dope stuff that's out there that you don't know nothing about that you're shutting yourself off to due to some preconceived notion or rule that somebody made up that's like not even a rule, So I will say, guys, get out there, just because I'm not a fan of a certain type of work, that doesn't mean you ain't gotta like that. Go out and like that stuff, man. You might love it, That might be your thing. Just go out there and love this stuff. Enjoy it, because art is so, man, art is everything. You know what I'm saying? It's art is, I hate to say art is life, but it really is, and just get out of here and, just enjoy it. Love this stuff, push your style, create your style, man. Because I'm a style whore, be all about style,
Right on. So, hey, Sandy, do we have any audience feedback that or questions for Brandon?
There wasn't any questions yet, but everybody's enjoying it. Jason Leeser's in the chat and was saying that earlier on that he also went to college with the intention to become a tattoo artist. Yeah, but it's mostly a lot of hellos.
Right on. Well, hello back. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Brandon, is there anything that else? I mean, that's a powerful message. You like what you like. Don't be afraid of. It was really no different being a metalhead kid. It's like, oh yeah, that's not cool. This
I remember
small
that.
set of things is cool, and don't look elsewhere. And I think there's a lot of that.
Just stay the path, stay true.
A lot of that is just youth, and it's important to not have to worry too much, right? And just relax, like what you like.
Because it stifles your growth, man. That might not be your, the way you get down, like the way you can create. You're sitting here trying to, appeal to these dudes, your other homies, and that might not be what moves you, man. You might like, I don't know, hell, you might like kittens or something. I don't know. That might be your thing. You know what I'm saying?
It's people worry about how do I find my own style. Well, you're definitely not going to find it by trying to people please, right? And you might think, well, I got to do that if people are going to get tattoos from me. And yeah, sure, to a certain extent, you got to do what people ask you for. But if there's something that genuinely appeals to you, you can sneak that into your style. It will show more and more, and people will recognize, this person is doing this well, and they must really like it, and that'll become a thing they ask for more and more. And before you know it, you got a style that people are asking you for.
Exactly. Like I said, and the cool thing is everybody that we've talked about in this conversation, none of their work looked alike. They all have their own recognizable style of work, but you could see where they got elements from their work from like other places. That's just like kind of just like how it is, but if you keep shutting yourself off, you're right. You're never going to create your style because you're trying to please homeboy over there who's probably not even putting that much value into your shit. You know what I'm saying? He just is. You don't have to try hard to be down. Let your stuff speak for you, man. Even like with the galleries, how they don't have galleries not showing women, not showing Black people. It's like, well, they're missing out because there's women over there making some really kick-ass stuff, and you're not showing it because they're not part of the boys club. It's like, I thought this was supposed to be about, art, showing the world, and representing, and, here you are, and having a sausage fest, quote unquote, it's.
Yeah. Well, it took this long, for us to kind of collectively say, well, wait a minute, you know, not only is that, you know, wrong, it's also sort of boring.
You know what I'm saying? It's
it's all of our enrichment to see everything. You know, I want to see everybody's art. I follow every kind of artist, you know. I mean, the last thing I want to do is only follow biomech artists or only follow tattoo artists. I follow every kind of art, and you know, that makes it worth picking up my phone every day. I don't want to just see more of the same. I want to have my mind blown. I want to have my envelope expanded, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. I know my feed is the people if you was to click on even my private account or my dark skin body art account, it's definitely not all tattoo. It's nowhere near all tattooers. I'm following people who make cologne and, you know, that kid that can just keep doing flips and not throw up for some reason. You know, I'm looking at all kind of stuff. You know, it's just, you know, I want to be intrigued. You know, I like to be amazed. You know, I just like to see different stuff, you know, and I can't just put myself in the little, I'd go nuts looking at tattoos all damn day. I'm not going to lie. I really would. You know,
we already do it, right?
Tattoos all day. You know, I love it, but shit, you know.
Well, thanks for coming on and sharing a little bit of the broader art world. And yeah, we'll be having more events, and you know, you've joined us in the past, and you know, definitely going to be inviting you on again in the future. Thank you, Brandon.
I appreciate it. I love this. This is cool. You know, I'm all about this.
Right on. Well, you have a great day, and thanks everyone for tuning in.